Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here. Let's do our first ever designer walkthrough tour of Avengers Campus. Now, it doesn't technically open up until next week, but so many details like the one behind me have reared their head. DCA is getting ready for its newest land, Avengers Campus. I'll be here next week. I can't wait. But until then, let's look at all the details that have started to show up. So we're starting today's tour in the edge of Hollywoodland before we actually enter into Avengers Campus, where all of these billboards have popped up. We're standing right now in the courtyard where you would wait to see Frozen, the Hyperion Theater courtyard, which is normally the overflow. But due to California guidelines, as you can see, this area is people free. A lot of seating has been put out here. And it has created I believe an overflow that they are expecting for the PIM Test Kitchen, which will open next Friday with the land. All of these billboards advertising that land. As you can see, where I started out today's video, standing in front of this massive chocolate bar. And then we have two types of bench. We have the classic Disneyland bench, but we also have this more metal bench that I see in several spots. It feels a little more Avengers Campus. And then they have been serious about taking on this. You can see the exit and entrance doors have that honeycomb type pattern put over them. And as we come over to the stairs, you'll notice even more branding. You can see the PIM Test Kitchen logo going with the color scheme of the beehive, black and gold. But I have to give them props using an off black, not a true black, classic design move. And then the stairs over here, these stairs had snowflakes going down them for Frozen. Not the liberal snowflakes, actual snowflakes. But you can see that they have put the PIM Test Kitchen branding all around this area. And what I think is going to be interesting to see over time is how much of Hollywoodland absorbs Avengers Campus. Let's walk back over to the chocolate bar where we started today's journey. And I mean, this thing is massive, and it's not just a wall. It's actually fully materialized, like it has depth to it. Over on the side there, you can see where it's kind of opened up. And earlier today, they were using this as spillover for a long wait time for Guardians of the Galaxy mission Breakout. All right, let's actually get up to the edge of the land and begin a tour of whatever we can see today. These logos have popped up on the edge of the gates. There's this cool vibe in here that makes it look like either this could retract out or possibly create some sort of energy that would go to the other one that flanks the other side of the corridor, which we'll look at later. It does sound like in the background that this area is in need of some heroes. But one of the things we're going to look at next week on the channel, because next week on the channel is Avengers Campus Week, we're going to review everything we know so far. I'm very curious about how this type of design work will mature. It's this time, it's not a classic look, and I'll be interested to see how Avengers Campus ages, but we'll get into that much later. Now, as we come around, here is the treat stand that we know will go online next week. And there's also a logo on the back side that people didn't make a big deal out of, but this logo happens to be my favorite one because I love its monochromatic nature. I do think that the other side lights as a beacon to bring people in, but I really, really enjoy the monochromatic nature of that one. And as we come around, lots of different props. This feels very Galaxy's Edge, where they use a lot of almost pelican cases that have been rebranded to look otherworldly. And this just goes along with the storyline that the collector has come to town. He's picked a weird spot to show up in, but yet he has come to town. And then as we come over to the exit doors, you can see that there is a Stark emblem there on the edge of the door. This is a parade route where characters can come and go. It's used to be no big deal back in the day to see Black Widow on her Jeep come piercing through there. But something I'm really enjoying are these sensor pads that have popped up on all of the borders. And I do love the branding of all of that. How great is that, that those are on all the edges. And then as we can see, very healthy line of people waiting to get into Avengers Campus today. Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout. Let's continue to push on. Where once again we have the sort of pelican case look that we saw just a minute ago over at the Terran Treats. We see that look replicated over here at this great photo op to get your photo taken with Guardians logo behind you. And then Mission Breakout looming over. Little hidden speaker there for you. And then I'm sure you probably saw online that this blue ooze was put on the ground as if when the fortress slammed down, that this sort of spilled over. And you'll see that it goes from this really cool metallic mixture of purples and blues. Then as we go along, it gets a little bit more green added into it. And then lastly, we find the transformation here where it goes more into a color scheme that matches the actual tower itself. You can see that entire color scheme that we just walked, same color scheme of the actual Mission Breakout building. And then it continues to go on, once again, gradiating into a secondary color that comes over here on the edge of our barrier, which will go away next Friday. As we come back here and step up on the curb, we can get a little bit of a view of what the actual building looks like. It's going to be very interesting to see how they use this as a stage for shows. Similar stages were built inside of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that they have not taken advantage of. I'm going to say that with the action of the Marvel franchise, how many characters there are that they're allowed to put in this land, because this land is absent of being tethered to any sort of timeline, that these stages actually get used way more frequently than what they've done in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which has basically been about zero. And so hopefully we'll see these really come to life, as this smaller land is going to require a lot of finesse to bring it together. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is about 14 acres. This is much, much less than that. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge also favored by being on the outer perimeter of the park. This land is completely surrounded by other parts of DCA. You can see at the Pim kitchen here, that honeycomb type pattern that has worked its way around. And then if we look over there, we see the messing with scale of what appears to be Christmas lights. Right, those appear to be Christmas lights, the forest green Christmas lights that you buy at Walgreens, that are hung around the building at a much larger scale. So going to be really cool to see how all that takes shape. And also keep in mind that this is paying tribute to Bugs Land, where scale was a big part of the storytelling. So I do love that we went from a farm to Bugs to the Ant-Man, keeping this parcel of land story somewhat. Each level pays tribute to the one before it. Let's just hope that this one stays longer than the rest. And then we have these beautiful exit doors here. These exit doors fully themed in the Marvel universe, with that Spider-Man reflex blue with a slate gray of steel around it, all the extra rivets and cuts. You know, this doesn't need to be here. This cut doesn't need to be here. They could have easily did it with one panel, but they continue these hard angles and cuts to make everything match the logo, to be synonymous with the brand. And then over here, as the cast members exit, we see that corrugated steel go around again with a nice Avengers personnel only bracket to let us know that's where we have to stop and cast members begin. But then with another one of these sensor pads to just give the idea of this is where us, the campus recruits, have to stop, but the actual personnel can scan in with maybe a data pad or with their hand or with their retina, not really sure. But if we stand back here in the corner, just thinking that this wall is going to come down in 1 week and we will see this structure finally have some companions to make a little bit more sense after the beloved Tower of Terror went away. You can see some more storytelling and the use of those lantern type lights out front, being at 2 different heights, looking more like the mechanisms around them are doing some sort of a science experiment than just illuminating the street. What is going to be fascinating though is to see what does it look like when the red car trolley makes its presence known down these tracks. And you can almost see like the piano key type brickwork that they put in here, but that wasn't where they stopped, obviously, with the ooze that we pointed out that's all around the edge of the land. Now as we start to make our way out of this little preview section of Avengers Campus, we can see, I won't go too close because there's people over there, but you can see that second part of the gate that I was talking about when I was on the other side. And then you can see this one doesn't have the logo, but it keeps that storytelling going. If maybe this were to close, or like a laser would maybe go across to create an electric fence to keep everyone outside of this land, giving it sort of that pseudo military feeling and that definite superhero influence. So there we go. A lot that we get to preview already before the land opens up. And one last detail that I talked about earlier in this week for our coverage of Hollywoodland is that don't forget that the Backlot premiere shop will be where you can go starting Saturday, May 29th. If you want to get those $65 extensions to put on your wrists, the base model, I believe, is $35. And then you pick your superhero of Spider-Man, Iron Man, or 2 other characters that will attach on there. So when you ride web slingers, you actually get to be a different character. The default will be Spider-Man, but those devices on your wrist will give you the ability to maybe do Iron Man style lasers or to create other kind of interactions because you upgraded your performance. We'll talk more about that last week, but I just wanted to give you the heads up that if you're here Saturday, May 29th or on, you can buy that ahead of time back there in the corner of the Backlot premiere shop. And then we see this prop that was used during Touch of Disney has moved over here, replacing just the solo Captain America shield, which then comes to the question of over the next little bit, how long will this area still be doing some of the heavy lifting for the Avengers theme. Will it stay in Hollywoodland or will it go away now that it has its own land? I'm going to vote that it stays, because my dream is that Hollywood Studios and Hollywoodland goes away and that we just see Avengers to continue to grow in this direction. But once again, if you want to beat the rush and you want to get suited up for your optimal performance for web slingers, starting to the 29th at the Hollywood Premiere Shop, you can go over there and get suited up for $65. Now that we've looked over at the Hollywoodland edge of Avengers Campus, let's work our way around to where the grand entry will be and also look at the Cars Land entrance. We have repositioned ourselves over on the edge of the performance corridor. This is the look that we were able to see for the most part of this year, as this was accessible through different stages of Touch of Disney and also free DCA. Doesn't really give us a ton to see, but what we are able to see is the front of this facade of the Stark brick building. But most importantly, we can see this building right here, the gray one, which is the Web Slingers, the main attraction that's opening up, coming up next Friday. We can also see the edge of the, what I call the Circuit City building over there on the right. It is believed that from here to there in some fashion will be where that flying Spider-Man takes flight. I will be here live on Friday the 4th for the opening. I'll be doing a live stream. If you're watching the channel, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Every time I come to the park, I always do a live stream. And I'm a little curious, will the Spider-Man fly forever or just opening night? Disney has had a history of doing some performances over on stages in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that only made it through the preview. And there was also a dragon once that flew over the top of Walt Disney World, which flew one and one time only. And as you can see, there is now a web flag that is flying high above that building. So you have to imagine inside there, they are definitely ready. I know there's going to be some previews next week. We'll be covering all things Avengers Campus all week long on the channel to get ready for Friday's big launch. Let's come over here to the edge, and then we will see what we can see from the third and final entrance, the Cars Land entrance. But if we come here on the edge of Mater's, we can see out there in the distance almost what looks like cell phone reflectors. I believe that to be the retail shop where you can buy lots of your web accessories. And I also noticed this higher up area, which looks like it could be part of a stunt show. It's going to be so fun to get in there and walk through and see it all for the first time. And as always, the first thing I do when I go into a new land or a new part of Disneyland, I will be filming myself, filming the land, so you can see an honest-to-God reaction of what a true hardcore fan feels like the first time they get to step in there. So if you can't make it on Friday, don't worry. As always, I've got you covered with a window into the magic. All right, already seeing something new. If you remember, during Touch of Disney, this right here, this was our barricade. This was as far as we could go. And now we're allowed to walk further than what we could. It used to end back there, so this is now the deepest in we are, which is fantastic because you can see that the logo. Oh wow, we can see, oh wow. We can see the edge of Avengers Campus where we have all that beautiful concrete work. I'm gonna step back here because I want to lose it the closer I get. Look at that beautiful concrete work. It feels very Galaxy's Edge. You can see how it has all that proper distress there. This crane arm over the top, probably used for storytelling or a stunt show. All the proper lighting in there. And they've already got planted the vegetation growing over it to make it look like it's been here for a while. If we look at the vegetation over there, it has an old age look to it. This is brand new. You don't have to duck, you're working. But we can see that this vegetation over here makes this look like it's been here, like it's overgrown, like the way that the trees are coming over the edge of the lip. And I think so far that's the best view I've been able to get of the Quinjet. And then even more, look at that storytelling right there. I'm going to zoom in. You see how you can see the rebar coming out of that concrete. There's already flowers like weeds, daisies, wildflowers growing there to show that these remnants have been here for quite some time, which is fascinating because it's brand new in the real world. But according to the storyline, this is something that is old, forgotten about, and nature is kind of at war with man to take over. Fantastic. Friends, I hope you enjoyed our spring 2021 preview look at Avengers Campus. Don't forget, it will be opening up next Friday, and I will be here, and I am so excited to get inside and to check out all of its many details and get to see this new land. And once again, have a Disney's California adventure that we can do laps and walk through. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. All that helps this baby channel grow. And don't forget, we'll keep doing these every single season. So this is our spring 2021 pre-look at Avengers Campus. When we do this again in the summer, we'll actually get inside the gates and see the entire land. Friends, thank you so much for taking this journey with me. I want to thank my friends over at Club 1313 for making today possible. And friends, until the next time I see you web slinging, I'll see you back here on the channel with more Disneyland updates.